Hello, my name is Feliz, and this is the 15th chapter of Outstanding User Interfaces. With Shiny, we are going to cover optimize your Shiny with custom handlers. So the objective of this chapter is to leverage internal Shiny JavaScript tools to build high interactive and optimized interfaces. We have some functions that update the UI from the server side. We have the update functions. We have test input, test set panel. Also, we have some toggle functions, that also spam and don't spam some elements. But we also have the render UI, insert UI, and remove UI. Render UI and UI output are the most famous functions for making these changes, and they render the whole server. In the case of the update and toggle functions, they just update specific elements, so it's not a major problem there. But render UI is important that it re-renders the whole block of code each time, and that's a problem when we have more we'll add with more elements. Oh yeah. Oh, this is not my presentation. Sorry. I was thinking that I need to switch. Get switch. Shut down. Good thing. Switch the branch. I need to re-render this. Okay, it was similar in that part. Switch to branch 15. It's switching with underscore. I think I might need to restart the presentation. Okay.
This BS for Dash is missing. There's no package called BS for Dash.
Yes, I haven't started this. This is, yeah, but that's not really. Let's open the browser again. Let me confirm that. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, perfect. Now let me restart the presentation. So it would be a stop and then start again would be, or just start again?
Yeah, I think stop first.
Okay, stop, start. Hello, my name is Feliz, and we are going to cover chapter 15 of Outstanding User Interfaces with Shiny. And we're going to cover optimize your app with custom handlers. The objective of this chapter is to leverage internal Shiny JavaScript tools to be high interactive and optimized interface. Many functions we have in Shiny to interact with the UI from the server side. So we have the date functions, and they just send specific messages to the Chinese server. We also have toggle functions, hide, type, show, tab, and modify user interface elements like render UI, insert UI, and move UI. as you see, there are no many options for this. That's why we have packages like shinyui, that expand those functionalities without knowing JavaScript, or we can write our own JavaScript function. That's the main point of this book. The most famous functions are render UI, user UI, that make really easy to apply any elements. But the problem is that you need to render the whole block every time a reactive dependency is invalidated. So everything that you change a little bit, you need to re-render everything. And that's a problem when you have many elements in your app. Uday and Toggle functions are good because they just might change a class, so it's no a big problem with them. Let's see one example with render in shinyui. We have this message from Paul. Always we have these messages in this data frame. And he defines this UI. He creates the bar. Uh, he Yeah, is in the header. Yeah, it will be the navbar, and he is going to place inside a list all that is moved from the messages output that is rendered here. I changed a little bit the code because I was noticing that the number of messages wasn't updating correctly, and it's because the drop down menu functions expect that each element is inserted as a different argument in the function. So for making that, we use do call. So every element in the list will be passed as an argument, and in that way, the counter will work. But you see all the code that is generated for each item need to be applied every time and render that HTML code for each message, even though you just want to add one message. And let's see this up. It should load. Yeah. So it's taking more than I expect. But someday we will have it. No, it seems to me like this is not working really. Um, Let me try to open this in Chrome. Rather than Chromium, maybe Shiny Lab doesn't work with Chromium. Uh,
If you click on the edit button in the app, does it take you to Shiny Live page with the app code?
well, I think that the problem is maybe a dependency with the web browser. So I just switched to, well, I think I switched, yeah, in Chrome. So we have, here's the app. Let's see is that it relies on some dependency of that browser. Mm,
What does that edit button do?
well, we can also copy this. Oh, yeah. The way it was easier, but I test this in a Windows computer, right? That this system, so I didn't expect the situation, even though after switching. Let me see. Yeah, let me just run in R. So
Maybe it is already loaded in the Shiny editor. See if it is loaded.
oh, should be here. Yeah, it's here. Oh, you mean here, like in the
The
I will
tab
close.
before the test tab.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, the other one on the right.
No,
Oh, it's also loading. Okay.
no. It seems that we have problem with my system for that part. Well, whatever. Um, here is adding, and each time I'm adding an element here, basically it renders everything. If we open the inspector, we will see we also will see that it will refresh. So we use the inspect element. We'll see how it changed in the list. The A elements. Yeah, so it's that the behavior of the app. But what happening behind the scenes? What's to understand this chapter, it's really important that we dive inside the HTML code. So we try to reproduce a little bit this part and just call this function. I found this function in Slack really useful to use with do that, get exported value to get function from the library without loading the library, because I I always try to load libraries to get used to creating package. So the first part is what we have without the menu UI. So you have a list, and inside that list you have a span, that is the baggage. The red flag you were watching with the number of items is here. And inside that list, we also have a random menu, and we have elements. So you have this number of messages. And after that, we have these elements. The random item are the ones that we have with message item. That's why we have the same structure twice. We have it here, and we have it here. And we have also a divider. This is the divide. This is the line between the elements. So we run it again. It's still running, but I won't be able to access. Yeah, this is this division. Yeah, it's not. Let's talk about that was easy to do. You know, you didn't need to do many things in the code part. You just define the UI and just define one function to render, basically. And here is just for adding new elements. No really new logic outside of R. Now, the difference here with insert UI is that you need, this is the source. Yeah, this is the source code of the function. The difference here is that you need to know what is the selector, where you are inserting the HTML. So insert UI sends the R method through the session insert UI function. But before make that, it get the dependencies, process dependencies. So process dependency, what it does at the end is working with the dependencies to separate them into do render tags and dependencies. So it separated the tags to the dependencies. This would be useful because Shiny at the end would place the dependency in the header. But this is the function that made that part. It's an internal function, and the author says that we shouldn't use it. We should use another one. I don't remember what its name, but yeah, because it's just an internal function for Chinese. And these functions that pass, that's here. There's session. When you have session here, what it does is going to the R6 class of Chinese session. And inside this class, Shiny have the definition of send message. So we have send insert UI, and it use also the send message, but it just give it a name, Shiny insert UI. We have a name, and inside the send message, it just place it into a list and send it as a JSON. That's the behavior, but all happens in the methods of the Shiny class.
Really good work showing all the internals here. Thank you.
Yeah, I went to the the repo to get this code because it's not
Mhm.
part of the chapter.
Yeah.
So you have a workflow. Okay, it sends to here, and then it just basically make it a list, a name a list, and just send it as a JSON, and that's it. And now we can move forward to the message handler because every type of handler, has a different function in JavaScript to manage that part. It calls the content. It checks, if we have elements to add. That's this check. And then if we have it, it call for each element the render content. Render content also calls the render HTML. It renders the dependencies, insert the HTML using another internal function that we didn't get the code. That's insert adjustment HTML. Also in JavaScript. So it's important that all these parts happening already in JavaScript. So you are already done with the alt part, so your server can keep working. Also initialize the input bindings. If you add the new ones, basically you add the new ones, it initializes and also sends to the server that, oh, we have new bindings, please connect the outputs, so and update the outputs basically. It will make all that part in the server side. So you will have a fully functional, not just HTML, it will make sure that the internals of Shining get working. Here we have a table, just compare the render UI and insert UI. So the mechanism is re-render the entire UI component and replace it. In some moment, the book say like, oh, a React user is here, he will just, yeah, like we will be really mad at this. Uh, that's not behavior that any production app has, basically. Insert new UI elements without modifying the existing ones. Performance is slower, faster. They don't forces or reflow, replace container content. Use the insert adjust HTML, minimal reflow, dependencies. Replace the dependencies on every render, imagine. So you need to manage dependency of every render. Process dependency once they are in new content. When the entire UI component must be rebuilt. So that's the case. Okay, I need to remove everything because I'm going to do something new. Then you use this function. But for incremental updates, use insert UI. State preservation may reset inputs and outputs, initialize everything, prevents preserve existing states, only binds the new elements. So you know all the reasons why you should prefer insert UI rather than render UI.
I have one question here, just a general discussion when to use render UI. So suppose there is an external database where you have updates. For example, there is a teacher and a student, and both have their own interfaces in the Shiny app. So the student, like the teacher, is making, for example, a homework assignment for the student, and that updates the database. And then from the student side, the updated information enters the UI of the student. So while the app is opened and the student looks at their new assignment, if the app is already open, we want to update the information in front of the student right away, right? So let's say it's done the through a request to the database every, let's say, 15 seconds or something, and student gets that information. In that case, does it make sense to use render UI because it will update if it's a plot that shows their progress, the plot should be updated, right? The plot should show what part they have already completed, what part they need to complete. So in that case, to me, it makes more sense to use render UI, but that means that the plot will be recreated every time there's an update. So what do you think? Is there a better alternative here, or is render UI good?
I would try to use update functions. Like because at the end, the UI, most of the part is the same because you are picking from the database specific information.
Yeah.
Uh,
For
you
example, if
know,
it is a ggplot, right,
hmm
and it has 3 points, and
okay.
each point has gray color initially, but if the
Mm,
teacher is giving a assignment, then
mhm.
one of the gray colors changes to like a red color to indicate that the student needs to complete it. So if we want to update this plot now, the whole plot needs to be updated, right? And
Yeah, of course.
in that
Yeah.
case,
Mhm.
I think render UI would be used, or are there other packages that can be used instead of ggplot2
No,
here?
I would just use render plot. Like you have the dependency of the plot, and you just need to re-render the plot.
Yeah, render plot does make more sense.
Like
Uh,
at the end, you just is that element. You will need to re-render, but you don't
mhm.
need to re-render the whole experience. You just need to re-render the plot.
Yeah, but in that case, you're correct. I understand that. If in that case, if there is a button also that we want
Mhm.
to show, in that case, does it make sense to render the plot again and also insert the button using insert UI?
Exactly. Basically, like okay, we have new assignments, and then because you don't need to render all the game. Like you just many of the elements. The point is how many of the elements you want to change.
Mhm.
3, 5. At the end you are just changing maybe two. You are inserting a button and changing a plot.
Mm. So what would be more faster here? If we have a single render UI with a plot and a button that's inside the render UI, that's one option. The other option is a separate render plot and insert UI for the button. Which one
To
will
me,
be?
it should be faster. Like because once you render only one button,
Mhm,
just depends on how many tasks are needs to write.
mhm.
Use insert UI, you would maybe write 10 tasks at the end, but you re-render the whole page. You will need to write hundreds of tasks in
Yeah.
R. So it would be hard to me to think that in a case that render UI will be faster, unless you have or unless you need to insert the same amount, of tasks. No, at the end I need to re-render everything because I need to update all tasks, but it's not the case. And you just need
Mhm.
to, of course, you can benchmark both, but in theory, it should be insert UI.
Right. Right. Yeah. Thanks for
Should
your
be should
thoughts.
be- should be faster. And now we have this function insert UI. How does it work? We need first to pick a selector. Here they say go to the uh, down menu and look up for one element that have the drawn item and the drop down header classes all together. And we have here, this is the result of using the drop menu. So down, we see here, we have the drop menu class, and under the spam tag have the drop item and drop down header, drop down header. So this is the selection right now. And the instruction is you will add the HTML after M, and after M, based on document, is after selection element insert. So you won't place it inside of the spam. After the spam, you will add the line here before the div. And what will you be inserting? Well, we just need to check the message item. The message item start with an A and have all these tags. So all this is a message. So after the div, no, before the div, we will have all this HTML inserted. Let's see this app. I know for real now it won't work. So let me just run it. So we have no messages, and now we just insert them. At this point, I'm just inserting new messages, and we don't are changing the counters. For that, we will need use remove UI. That's the next part. I also noticed that the insertion happens because before the break this line, this line that change that divide the messages. So we are missing it here. So that's why in the next slide, oh, here it's working. Perfect. Yeah. In this session, I changed the selector to the drop down divider. So in this case, yeah, Chinese working perfect. Easier to present. Now I'm changing the selector. Now I'm inserting the code after that line. So every time it keeps the line. Just because I noticed that the division divider is also at the end. So I just need to make sure that I have one before and then add the next. So basically, it's really important to my takeaway of this chapter is print your HTML. you will really need it. Now let's try to update the counters. We need to use remove UI, and we need to use it before the insert UI every time. So we need to make sure that we remove any element with these tags, the baggage danger, the nav baggage, and the drop down item, the down header. That's the ones that remove the test counter and bash. He places all of them in separate observers, but to me that I don't know if he has a reason to make that. Because to me it was just ugly. Like, okay, you are adding a lot of code for the same thing. If you are removing together, and you just need to place priority to one because the default is 0. So you are sure that all this removal will happen first, and then after removing, you will be inserting all elements. What you are inserting, the baggage, the counter, and the message itself. 3 elements. Really easy, just 2 observers. So even though it's a little bit of code, it's not as complicated as it looks in the book. Maybe, he just created in that way because when you have more complex ads, of course you will have more observers. It's no. But for this simple example, you can make it a little bit easier. So now we have it's working perfectly. Like, okay, it's removing. I have my 3 items. Perfect. It's just working. And it will be faster than rendering everything. Just incrementing the one. It just, of course, removing this part, removing the baggage here, but just inserting this, the new ones I'm adding here. But we also can add constant handlers because R can talk directly with JavaScript using the shinyui options. So the system works like this: send custom message with define a type and a message, but that message is HTML, nothing fancy. And JavaScript will receive that message using the the custom handler method that we are going to define. So for this simple example, just saying hello every 5 seconds, they define an observer, invalidate every 5 seconds, they place the session and send messages with some type and the HTML to render. And inside the shiny object, JavaScript object, they will use this method and they will define a type and what would do the function with the message. In this case, just an alert and it just is adding that message here. We can use that. So we can basically render having all those observers, removing and adding. We can just manage that part using directly jQuery and JavaScript. So we start creating this function. Remember that means that after rendering the whole document, add this handler, basically. After rendering the whole document, you have Shiny, add this handler, that is add message item. It just pick the how many elements they have because they will use it to update the data item. That's the message counter. So we have a number of elements and items, the word items. And they will insert here when they found these classes. In the navbar, they will find the navbar baggage, and they will also insert the number of items here. It's the span that we saw before. And then they will parse the whole HTML that we get from there. So remember that for JavaScript, it just is test. So it parse the HTML to get that in the tag, and then use jQuery also to insert after. That's the function equivalent to the one that we were watching before. And they just pick the same place. Load an item and load an item header. And that's it. After this tag, they will place it. In the R side, in the R function, we use the send message to define the ID to send the message. We make sure to send as a character vector. Define the dependency. Here is the code how you can do it if you have your JavaScript file, because they will just have the way that they do it for their package, but you don't need to package your JavaScript to use JavaScript. You just have your JavaScript and you say the source is in this folder and select that the script. It's important to select between a style sheet and a script because I was forgetting that. Of course, you can not wrap it in a function, but I just keep it in the function. And now that you have sent image, this is your custom function. You just need to pass the HTML element that you want to render. In this case, message item. And of course, every time you click a button, it just automatically increments the number. So you don't need to do many more things about it. And that's all that you need in order to use the custom handler. So it's not as difficult, you know. The only part is that you need to know a little bit of jQuery, but to me it's a good practice because this is easy to implement. And now, yeah, basically they are words. And in this case, it doesn't have the div, the div part, because he didn't define it in the JavaScript code. Yeah, it's really interesting that I discovered that you can use that with R also. So you just need to add the file and name as jQuery. Yeah, but the jQuery, JavaScript, name as JavaScript. Of course, it's not as intuitive as having a UI, but you can manage your file using R functions. Like, okay, I have these elements. I know that my working directory is here, so I can create folders. It's like dir create, I think. Create. I can create a folder in R. Yeah, and you will see it in with the diff function. Yeah. So yeah, basically, yeah, you can really use this function even of course using your R, but also you can use web app to share simple apps like this case and use the full functionality. And what good? Oh, was faster than I thought. No, no. After getting the shiny working, almost easier.
Um, there is one nice example of using custom message handlers on the Shiny blog, the docs. I'm sharing the link here in the chat.
Perfect.
If you open yeah, the article and go to the all the way to the bottom,
Okay.
um,
From R to JavaScript, send custom message.
yeah. So the
The
example
handler.
here, this example, this is a nice example of showing different colors in the background
Okay.
using add custom message handler.
Oh, background color. And you just use oh, what is the function way? This is okay. Function the first argument is color, but what does or maybe I know
If you copy
zoom
it and
out.
run it,
Yeah, that's the yeah, just color is the function. And they say document, body, start, background. And okay, this is just I'm a little bit confused about this code because this element document, where is coming from?
since this is in JavaScript, it can access the DOM, so it's accessing the document part.
Okay, 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 perfect. And inner color. So I just let's run it. Just copy. I will run it locally. Yeah, wait. It's really fast.
And I was thinking, since you can now like use JavaScript code, maybe it is possible to use something like I've previously seen handwriting recognition. So if you
Mm-hmm.
write using your like a pen on a tablet and then click a button, it should recognize and then convert it into text. So I'm sharing another link. This one contains um, the main application, which is not a Shiny application, but we can go to the GitHub of this.
This is shiny. Oh, but this is this is the wrong link. I just no, it's the same link.
It's the same link. Sorry.
Yeah, just send me the same link.
Let me copy and paste again. Sorry about that. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this one.
So here, if you type any like yeah, write anything, Send.
Send.
So
Yeah,
recognize
recognize too.
to. So you can type, not type, sorry, you can write in Chinese language and English language. So below you can see the language drop down. You can change that.
I need to send. Yeah, I have, yeah, between an S and a 5 is close.
So what if we could create a Shiny app where we have like a canvas like this, where you can write using a pen and then convert it into the recognized text. If you scroll up on the page, there is a link to the GitHub, and it contains the JS code, and it's not very long.
Where?
It's yeah,
Go
in the
project
first
side.
line.
Yeah, go project side. Wow, just J. I mean,
You can use either of these, canvas.js or simply the handwriting.js. I think handwriting.js is also okay. So I didn't understand a lot of it, but I'm
mm-hmm.
thinking if we try to use this using custom message handler, this can work.
To me, this is most like a shiny input,
Yeah.
because the custom handler is more for outputs. Like, okay, I already have the response, but to me, it will be a binding.
Yeah, you're right. This makes more sense, but creating the binding is much more work compared
Yeah,
to
of course,
message handler.
but maybe no, you don't need to create a whole binding. You just
Hmm.
need to send a JavaScript code, packing JavaScript code. It was, I remember in the book we have a function for sending information from JavaScript to Shiny. Mastering events, so it should be the same, all the same develop Shiny inputs,
Isn't that the
data
shi
format,
the
this one,
shiny set input
quickly
value?
define inputs, set input value,
Yeah.
set input value. I think this one. Mm-hmm. Default output, and yeah, basically, I should use this, and that's it.
Hmm.
Like, because you have all the JavaScript code, and the only thing that you need is to get the numbers from us, right? Like
Yeah.
these numbers.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So in this case, I would just use this function in an input. So you will have the ID, and you will be able to send the value, and you will be
Hmm.
use it to get it as a you don't need to define the input binding from the scratch.
Yeah, it would be interesting thing to experiment with. I'll try it.
So the difference here is that you will copy this code, because I'm not sure how it was. Let me understand. Okay, this is the HTML example. You have Markdown. How does he integrate this? Okay, he have the link, the same
I
link
think
that you need to
this is
use.
I think this is just for the README.
No, you think that for the read? Oh no, yes, it's your CSS. Yeah, let's go to the page and let's see how we manage the dependency. So you have this one. It should
Hmm.
be this. It like you have an internal file. Yeah, and if we go to the sources, JavaScript. Okay, this is the canvas. Yeah, this is the function he's using basically.
So we need an HTML canvas and we need to use shiny.set input value.
Copy link address. Let me see. Okay, it will. Yeah, perfect. You can use this one, this link.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I will use this link because this is the link to the canvas. Of course, they have it here in the repo. This is the one that you need. So,
Yeah.
okay, I have this functionality. Now I just need to understand how they use the HTML to get that functionality. Vendor button. Okay, let me just do that. Okay. they just insert the canvas element, and we need to do it the same. They have this form. Perfect. We have these buttons, erase each of the buttons, and results. And we have these results. I would just copy this. So div where does is start here. Okay, I will copy all of this. Copy element. Let's go to our. Let's create. Yeah, I don't need anything of this. So it will be like library shiny. And the UI would be page. I need to stop this shiny. It's already stopped. Perfect. Fluid page. HTML tools. HTML tools. HTML. We just pasted everything here. Yeah. Let me use the single tags
Yeah.
in order to to keep it working. Perfect. Now we have shine. It's like a function. I don't remember the function. It's
The
just always
server.
there. Shiny
Yeah.
app. Perfect. So we have shiny app. We have the UI, and you're going to need to create a server function. The server function is we have three elements always: input, output, and session. And here, and we just need to add the dependency. So it would be depth dependency. Let's put in a function. HTML tools. I don't remember default depend. We need to
I
copy.
think it's HTML
Find depend.
dependency.
Yes, HTML dependency. HTML. No, I will need to pick it from here. Uh, oh, this is not the app. This is the app. Yeah, just copy this. Perfect. Now we just need render using a file. How I use that to use it with a link? It's just source. Just source, and we pick the. I don't remember. Let's see the documentation they have. One example using a link. They don't. Perfect. uh, because I know that it manage URLs. Me. Mm-hmm. Let's go to jQuery. I think they have some example here. No, but they won't show me how to use HTML tools. Let's go to the chapter. I don't remember how it was that. Here, handle the dependency with HTML tools. Find dependencies. Package again. I don't remember how to use with links. I don't know, it's just source and that's it. I will try it.
Hmm.
I will try it. Because I know I have. Yeah, I remember now. It's like you need to use it. You need to use both. I have here the link. Here's the link. So this is the link. At the end, you keep it like this and just use this part.
Right,
That
right.
was the way. And I will place that here. And oh, I was having an extra comma. Let's see it works. What else? I have problem with my definition. It seems to be they have more than simple commas. Here we go. Or we can just the book also show a trick like use this way.
Yeah.
It should
Mm-hmm.
work. Wires. There are more?
Canvas.
There are more.
Hmm.
Canvas. Simple comma. What else? Okay, perfect. No more. What else? The UI words. Okay, I have this. Perfect. Now what else?
I think there's an extra bracket at the end.
Yeah, for the function. Oh yeah, I think I'm missing something here. Let me write the function completely. So it would be like function server function inputs. Is inputs or just input?
Input. It's only input.
Just input. Shiny Mac. Yeah, that's should use always. Because at the end, okay, I can remove this part. I didn't know that it was so important to keep that map. Okay, let's see. Runs. Yeah, it runs. Okay. It says that we don't have something. Yeah, that's the path to this part. Says it doesn't work. Why? We don't know. If we use the GitHub, I don't just download the file. Okay, we download the file. This is the file. Canvas.js. So we just go ahead and place our notes. Projects, book, here, shinyui. And I'm running, I think it should be here because it's the main directory. So we use, I'll close this editor. So I should use this. Now I just need to use the same file name. Ham, okay, handwriting. They're just writing handwriting here. I'm using the dependencies. Okay, let's run this.
So
So if send, I'll just erase. Okay, part of is working, but I'm not
Mm.
receiving the message. Part is working, but not all.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
this,
part of the HTML that you copied is not copied, that is needed.
uh,
Maybe not everything that is required here is copied, right?
yeah, maybe because this resort part, this
Mm-hmm.
spam part, it should be part of the remove and render UI. And the only
It,
point would
I
be
know
like,
that it is the
mm,
functionality is within the JS file. So, but maybe the relevant HTML is not available.
of course, yeah, maybe that part is no. I just need to understand how they render this resort ID. So we go here to yeah, this is the code, the repo. Yeah, here, perfect. The resort ID. This is an ID. With the resort is. So something like that we should have in the source code. I don't know. Ready JSON parser response text. Okay, here. Something here.
Yeah.
Return. This is the part when we need to call shiny to
Mm.
get. Yeah, let me see. We go to the source code. That's the only part. All the results are here. So we only need to understand response test, this status switch. Okay, this is the 200 because it just received the information from the server.
Mm.
Like, okay, what's the status of the request I did? I don't know what was the request. I don't care. But I know the response is here, 200, perfect. That's the JavaScript code that we need to change
Yeah.
to send to Shiny. So now he parsed to JSON the response, resorts. I don't know what's coming resorts. What's the difference with it? I have this response test, this test, this response test. It posts to I don't know where oh no, he just deploying resorts. We don't do that in R. He just it's not something that it will use it somehow,
Mm.
but it's not something that he have any value yet. Now he checks. Oh, the response is number 1, and he applied the callback undefined because he already knows that it was maybe an error. You just have one response. Else, he fills the results with he gets the 1, he gets 0, the first element, and then the second element, like second, first, and second.
Yeah.
Then he placed this, he made this validation. He also is changing results, slide results, and here is the callback. So here at this point is what I would send to R. So
Yeah.
let's use the function. Oh, we need to close this stop. We should
Mm-hmm.
have a stop before, but what stop? Bye
It's
bye.
a nice example.